Hello and welcome to WCCF Talks Gaming or Games. Could be gaming, could be games. We haven't got Keith again because he's being a lazy git. So we've got Dave.
Hey.
We have Kai.
Good morning from the States.
And we have Alessio.
Ciao.
So today we're going to be talking about the games that were announced yesterday. That is DC's version of Marvel's Avengers and the other DC game. So we'll leave it to you to introduce them, Alessio. Alessio, introduce the DC games. Alessio.
Where'd he go? Where'd he go? Oh, there he is.
Gotham Knights and, of course, Suicide Squad killed the Justice League.
Yeah.
So, I enjoy both Marvel and DC, you know. I can enjoy both settings, both characters. But one thing that stood out for me is that they are making, of course, they are still making 2 games, and yet they are not using any of their the biggest heroes of DC, because Gotham Knights is a game where Batman is dead, supposedly at least, and you control his basically sidekicks, so Robin, Nightwing, and so on.
Yeah.
So it's a Batman game without Batman. And Suicide Squad is a game where you have to kill the Justice League. So it's not an Avengers game. I mean, it resembles it from a structure.
Yeah, I was being a bit facetious.
The main issue here is that you're not going to play as Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman in either game. But why? I mean, that's the main appeal of DC, of course. Just imagine if Marvel did a game
And they made Spider-Man exclusive to one platform.
Well, yeah. That's
Yeah.
To an extent, I would
accountable.
actually say with Suicide Squad, you're playing the villains or anti-heroes, and
Yeah.
DC's always had a decent... They've had some good villains where you've got Joker, you've got Harley Quinn. So if you've got some of those there, you have got a bit of character recognition, and you do have... Harley Quinn's popular everywhere. Everybody loves her.
Yeah,
so
it
there you
is.
go.
She's pretty popular, although her last movie wasn't exactly great, in terms of both theatrical success and critical reception. But yeah, that's the first thing. Also, we know that both projects have had their fair share of troubles, because Warner Bros. Montreal, which is making Gotham Knights, was originally making a game about Damian Wayne as the Batman. And Rocksteady was actually making a Superman game, which is why Suicide Squad is set in Metropolis, I'm guessing. So they are basically reusing their assets.
Yeah.
So, that would have been a lot more interesting for me, to have a Superman game. I mean, it's not easy because, of course, Superman is extremely strong, but comic book fans know that there are many villains who can, in various ways, stand up to him. So it's not impossible
Kryptonite.
to make a Superman game. Instead, they are making what is basically, both games are basically games as a service, although they can be played, single player as well, but they seem to be both reliant on loot and progression, and I don't know. Also, with Gotham Knights, there is another issue, which is that there are only minor differences between the characters. Because, let's face it, Nightwing, Robin, all of them, Batgirl, they're all very similar to Batman. Batman trained them.
Yeah.
So they're all without real powers, and they all rely on acrobatics, on gadgets. It's not like Avengers, where you have the Hulk and you have Thor and you have Iron Man, which are very, very different from each other. you know. And you know, when you're making an action RPG, you want to have your classes or heroes to be very diverse, I think.
You need the variety there, and this seems like it's going to be very monotonous.
Yeah, I think Alessio makes several really good points. I mean, first of all, on the hero count, like when we were looking at the Gotham Knights trailer, like I was like, okay, we got Robin, we got Nightwing, we got Batgirl, I have no idea who that is.
I think it's Red Hood, but yeah.
And yeah,
it's Red Hood.
Okay, well, it feels like there could have been perhaps better DC characters to pick from, and that feeling stretches into the Suicide Squad trailer, where we see Harley Quinn and a shark guy, and some other guys,
Captain Boomerang.
the guy,
Captain Boomerang, King
Captain
Shark.
Boomerang, and yeah, like that's it's not the most amazing pick. But yeah, beyond that, like I think, like you said, the games have been retooled from something else, and I think that really shows in Gotham Knights, which looks in the gameplay far more like a traditional Rocksteady style Batman game. And from the only CGI trailer we've seen from the Suicide Squad game, it does look like Marvel's Avengers, because those characters at least do seem to have gameplay variety, and it looks like Marvel's Avengers. Which is
honestly
good for DC fans.
To me, these two games seem more like they're working from the Suicide Squad in particular. Obviously, they've got Harley Quinn, but they've got Deadshot. They're more like they're coming from the Arrowverse series of shows. And for me, they would probably be better off trying to use the heroes like Green Arrow, like Flash. Just bring some recognition into these games.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, if you don't want to do Superman or Wonder Woman or Batman, there are many other characters, like you said, Green Arrow, Green Lantern, The Flash. They are still far more popular than Captain Boomerang.
Well,
or
Green Arrow in particular. I can't remember the actor's name now. Stephen Amell. Stephen Amell. And The Flash, these shows have been so popular, lasting for, I mean, they've been going on for 7-8 plus years now. So they've got the fan base, and there's no doubt in my mind that they've got people, like, they could even bring in Stephen Amell as for the actual motion capture.
Voice acting, yeah.
But yeah, so I don't get it. I don't get the choice of characters here. I like Deadshot, so I'm happy with that. But then Harley Quinn. I can live with Harley Quinn in Deadshot. That's about it.
Yeah, but something else that's interesting is that actually Gotham Knights is not considered to be in the Arkhamverse setting.
But
Suicide Squad?
Yeah, Suicide Squad is meant to be in it, isn't it?
Yeah, but you know what the weird thing is that in the Arkhamverse, if you look at the previous games, Harley Quinn has a totally different style, like visually.
Yeah.
And Deadshot is white in the Arkhamverse.
Yeah.
So they have made both Harley Quinn and Deadshot like, the Suicide Squad movie. Just like Margot Robbie and Will Smith. So they basically changed the game setting to have more, I don't know, recognition.
A bit more to link into the films.
Yeah.
And yet they couldn't just pick good characters. But yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. So, very kind of cynical marketing-y, but what are you going to do?
Yeah, I think the question is well, first, have you got any thoughts on this, Kai?
I'm kind of curious how Rocksteady is going to approach a third-person shooter, since they've always been doing like the free-flow combat, which is what Gotham Knights is essentially going to be again. Like, Harley Quinn isn't much of a ranged character, but from what I was reading, she can pretty much like smack stuff with her bat, I guess. And everyone else has their own guns and ranged weapons.
Actually, I have to correct you there, Kai, because
okay.
Like the first game that Rocksteady made was a shooter.
Really?
Urban Chaos. Yeah.
Nobody ever remembers it.
They're not it's not extremely popular, but yeah, it was their first game as a studio, and no, yeah, but I agree. It's I mean, Captain Shark, sorry, what was his name?
Boomerang.
No, King Shark.
Oh,
King
yeah.
Shark, I think, is pretty into melee combat. Probably.
Yeah, that's the character he is.
So I'd say
I just
Queen.
want him to bite somebody's head off.
Yeah, I mean, but that's not to say I'm not looking forward to them, because I mean, ultimately, I think both Rocksteady and even Warner Bros. Montreal, I think even Batman Arkham Origins is often perhaps a bit underrated, but I think it's a really good game. And,
I think the real thing is they need to not make the same mistakes that they made with Arkham Knight, because that was just fucking terrible. And they also need to get a real company to port it to PC.
yeah.
Instead of just relying it, instead of going to the local zoo and just throwing it into a monkey cage and saying, "Have at it," they need a real company.
Yeah, but I think also, I mean, if you look at on YouTube, like the Gotham Knights videos, official videos, they have twice the amount of dislikes than they have likes. And
I think, I mean, at the moment, there's the issues, of course. Like, yeah, I think people aren't too fond of the fact that, well, there's no Batman in essentially a Batman game, and there's just Harley Quinn and Deadshot for me in the other game. Where's Deadpool? Bring in Deadpool in one of the games, just for the anarchic sense of humor.
Don't worry, that Red Hood guy looks exactly like Deadpool and just uses two pistols.
Yeah.
So
Even though,
you know what I mean.
Deadpool doesn't belong there, obviously, but
Oh, I know. Don't worry. When I saw the trailer, I was like, "Is that Deadpool? Wait, no,
Yeah.
this isn't Marvel."
Yeah, exactly.
But honestly, it's weird looking at the whole situation from outside of the fandom. You know, like many of you, I just both DC and Marvel are pretty cool, I guess.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about those. So from outside of the fandom looking in and looking at both of these game trailers, the Gotham Knights game to me looks far more interesting. I don't know the details. It looks like it's going to be like a bit more like linear stages, not necessarily like an open world sort of thing like it is in Arkham City, Arkham Knight, and that's the sort of stuff that I find really tedious about those games. If it's like more linear progression with the option to go in co-op with your friends or whatever, and possibly raids at the end, I am more open to that than I am DC's Avengers.
Oh, actually, yeah, I do think Gotham Knights looks well. I mean, at least we've seen gameplay for Gotham Knights,
and it looks half decent. Like I looked at it; it looked a lot like the Arkham games, and I was like, "Well, that's probably the direction people want."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something that's
I thought people would be
interesting
happy.
is that according to the press release, Gotham Knights will only have a two-player co-op, while Suicide Squad has 4. Not sure why, but
I'm honestly happy with two-player co-op.
So I think the real question is, who's looking forward to them, and which one in particular?
I mean, to be honest, the minutes or so that we saw of the Mr. Freed's boss fight was pretty cool. I mean, something that fans, may have been a bit disappointed in is that both developers made them wait for a very long time, because Arkham Origins from Warner Bros. Montreal came out in 2013.
Yeah.
And and it's coming out next year. And actually, the Suicide Squad game is even further away, because it's coming out in 2022. So it's basically 7 years. No, actually, it will be 8 years of wait for the Montreal game from the previous one, and 7 from.
Part of this is due to the fact that Warner Brothers have been looking. They really haven't been focused on video games or gaming in general for a while now. They just seem like they're half-assing it.
A little bit, yeah.
I don't know. I mean, if you also look at at Jason Schreier's reports, like I said, there's rumors that they had projects basically cancelled. So it makes sense. But the point is, after all this time, people wanted really something that would, I don't know, amaze them, you know?
Yeah.
And it's not quite what we got so far.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I'm going to hold off until I actually see more of the games before saying. But at the moment, I think, yeah, they're not setting anybody's world on fire due to the lack of real iconic characters. Again, with the exception of Harley Quinn, and yeah, the Batman game that isn't a Batman game because Batman's dead. You've just got the 4 components of Batman.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Dave and Ken?
Yeah.
Go for it, Dave.
To be fair, it looks like Gotham Knights is, both of these games don't look like they're immediate releases or anything, so plenty of time to speculate and judge and criticize. And as of right now, there's not too much of that to be done. I'm more optimistic for Gotham Knights, I'll say that.
Yeah. I'm just looking now, just thinking, what has Warner actually made recently? They've made the Lego games and Mortal Kombat. That's literally it for.
Yeah, actually, people were also hoping to see something about. I mean, this was a DC event, but
Yeah.
People are also very much waiting for the Harry Potter game, which is
the Avalanche one.
Yeah, I mean, it leaked, I think, 2 years ago. Some screenshots, some video.
What was that? What game was that?
A Harry Potter game.
Harry Potter game.
Oh, that one. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, I think everybody has, because the fact that it's been so quiet over like a few years now, development hell. Like Avalanche have been making other games.
It feels like every other than like you said, NetherRealm and of course Traveler's Tales.
Yeah.
I mean, those are the only 2 consistent game developers at Warner Bros. Interactive.
Yeah, like Suicide Squad's supposed to come out 2022, assuming it doesn't get delayed, and that's a pretty long development cycle if you assume it started from when Arkham Knight launched.
Yeah. Like Alessio says, they've probably had something cancelled, and And personally, I do think that Warner Brothers, I think they're worried. I think they're just not seeing the game section because they're being slated so much by the industry, and rightfully so for the absolute shoddy PC ports, the shoddy PC output, the fact that they're not really a PC developer, and NetherRealm's in the firing line for working conditions again. So it's a perfect.
Rocksteady got it as well.
Yeah, Rocksteady's the one.
You meant Rocksteady.
NetherRealm was the one a year back.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, it's all looking a bit.
Yeah.
I'm also interested in what Monolith is doing because it's been 3 years since Shadow War.
Has it been that long?
It's been a while.
Yeah. Sure, I'm thinking it's been longer actually. God.
Do you think they're going to do another Mordor style game?
Yeah, it seems possible. I mean, they've made 2, so the usual is to do a trilogy.
Sort of thing, yeah.
I gotta tell you, I really like the first one, and that second one, all the stuff they added was cool, and I didn't like any of it. All the castle raiding, all that crap, all the extra stuff you had to level up. I was like, oh, they ruined it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think also the way they expanded, like the Nemesis system, and it wasn't like you said, it was cool in practice, but it was cool in theory, but in practice it didn't really add much to the game.
Good.
So
maybe another one, move it to Isengard, a smaller area, but I don't know. They've sort of run the thing. They've run the whole thing. It's like they forged a new ring of power. Why would you do that? Even with the explanation they gave, it made no sense.
Fun times.
But
hey,
the gameplay was good. Yeah, they massively
Yeah.
fucked it up with the loot boxes. They screwed over every single game who liked the franchise. So yeah, hopefully they'll not screw it up again.
but you know what game is incredible according to our own Chris Ray? Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020.
And interesting.
I mean-
So, have we all actually played it? I've seen you played it, and you thought you were in a racing game, Dave.
Yeah, so here's okay. Well, I'll kick it off with a fun story. I started playing the game on keyboard and mouse, nothing else, and I had all assists turned on. Very important because I don't know what I'm doing. I need all the assists. I need all of that. And basically, for some reason, to pull up is numpad 2,
Right.
and the assists told me it was numpad 8, which is actually to go down. And genuinely, I'm like, why doesn't this work? Why doesn't this work? And then I just tried the other button. I was like, are you kidding me? The assists lied. Also, some of the assists flick between like controller control things and then keyboard and mouse, and
That's
it's really
something I mentioned in the review.
Yeah.
One of my only complaints, the fact that if you've got an Xbox controller or any controller plugged in, as well as the keyboard and mouse, the game just seems to... It's like it's got multiple personality
it's
disorders.
flicking about.
What? Which side?
But yeah, have Kai and Alessio, have you played it?
Not me. I mean, my flight experience begins and ends with Ace Combat. So, flight sim, not for me.
Okay. Alessio?
Well, yeah. Actually, I played it. I tried the flight from my hometown to Rome, and no, it was really cool. I think the technology behind it is awesome in many ways because it's streaming live data from the actual flights.
Yeah.
The weather.
It's very cool.
Reports. So it's amazing, but as a game itself, it's not really my cup of tea, as I was saying, Chris. So it's
I think it really is to me a technical marvel.
Yeah.
There is nothing uses cloud computing like this has yet, or no game has used it. Again, the inclusion of Bing Maps, the AI that builds up the houses that you're flying over, the fact that it's Bing Maps, so they can't really get the roads wrong. They're using satellite data, but the fact that you can literally look outside the plane, see the road you're flying, and just navigate via the roads. It's just impressive.
Yeah.
There's no game that's done this.
I do want to praise it because being able to find my own town, nearest airstrip is miles away, by the way. Being able to find my own town and navigate my way around it by landmarks like the local lake, and I'm like, okay, the lake is here, so I know this road is here and this road is here, and like navigating my way through it is really satisfying. Having said that, really wish this game had some more customizable navigation controls, because it's not like if I take off from an airport and I want to go to my house, I can't
just put
a GPS. There. Yeah, I can't put a marker on my house and just fly there. I kind of wish I could.
Yeah.
But also, that led to a really interesting situation where I'm looking at the compass on my plane dashboard and getting up Google Maps on my phone and trying to figure out where it is from the nearest airport and going past landmarks. So also that's its own adventure. So that's pretty nice.
I can sort of imagine you now. It's not Google Maps. You're there with an actual map.
Yeah. Looking out the plane window and getting the compass out.
That I think when VR comes for this game, that is going to
it'd be really cool. I do have a question for Kai, and that question has to be like, so what does the fanaticism around Flight Simulator look like to someone who isn't interested in playing it?
God, it's the same thing as Farming Simulator, in my opinion.
Oh my god.
And those people are intense with every little like minute detail to their John Deere tractors. So seeing the same fanaticism to like a Cessna or whatever these Airbus jets are, that's interesting. And I'm sure it's stuff that they'll never be able to afford or fly around in real life. So it's that whole system like, hey, here's like the best thing you can buy for a plane. So why don't you go give it a test drive, because you'll never be able to get your hands on it in real life.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I'd like to add something to that regard, because a new report was published recently by John Peddy Research, and it estimates that over the next 3 years, 2.6 billion US dollars will be spent on PC gaming hardware just to run Microsoft Flight Simulator.
Wow.
That is.
That actually, I wanted to mention that. Performance-wise, this game.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm running a 980 Ti and an i7 6700K. So all my bits are like high end a few years ago. And a majority of games I play 1080p ultra 60 frames fairly comfortably. Sometimes I just like dip on the shadows and stuff, and you can barely tell. Flight sim? No. There's no hitting 60 frames in this game at 1080p for me. Not unless I want to dip all the graphics all the way down.
So I was playing it at ultra, but yeah, I'm happy with. And as much as it is anathema to a lot of PC gamers, I'm happy with 30 frames a second.
Now here's the thing. Now this is an even bigger problem for me, because I was messing about with the settings. I was like, okay, if I can't get a decent 60, I'm going to go for a locked 30 with really good graphics. So I put VSync on maximum 30 frames per second, and no matter what I did, it capped at 20.
Okay.
And looked terrible. I don't know why. It capped at 20 and looked terrible every time. I was running medium to high settings, and I was like, how can the frame rate be below 30 and ends up capping at 20? And then so I just turned VSync off, and I'm in the mid-40s. I have no explanation for that, and I just had to run it with VSync off and a mix of mid to high. Had a good experience in the end after a couple of technical hurdles. And I do think it's a really interesting thing, but it's not a game.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to keep playing it.
So I did see my argument with this. So I reviewed a simulation game before this. It was Skater XL, and
Sure.
I had people in the comments complaining that it's a simulation. It's like you can't judge it based on. And my complaint was it had no game in it. There was no objectives. The game didn't give you any, and you couldn't even set your own because there was no score system. There was nothing. It was just a barren mess where you could just flip around on a piece of wood. And fair enough, some people like that, and I like skater games, but I just didn't like that because I want something to do. Flight Sim, I would argue that it is a game. Yes, your challenge is literally to fly. Yes, Dave. Yes, your challenge is literally to fly from one area to the next, and I suppose you can do that by just jumping on a plane in real life as a passenger. But for me, the exploration is what makes it a game. You're getting to see parts of the world and certain areas are in such fantastic detail. And again, it's also a challenge to land in heavy winds, in terribly foggy conditions. And I'm fairly sure there'll be a mod or a mode where you can essentially make it so that you've got no autopilot or no landing assist or anything, like a complete electronic failure. So then you've got to navigate by eye, and that's when you crash. But it's just, I just love it. I think there's so much to do.
I think it's a really, really interesting experience, and I think I respect anyone that takes it seriously. But I feel like I would need a full flight stick setup in order to get into it, and I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah, Keith, Keith's got a flight stick setup. We were talking.
There you go.
Me and Keith were talking about it for about an hour and a half yesterday, in between other conversations.
Terrible.
I think
all right, fair enough.
It's missing helicopters, but they are coming.
Yeah, I did say that myself. I was like, helicopter would have been nice.
Yeah, so you can just hover over your house. But yeah,
absolutely.
And VR is going to be fantastic for it. But Kai and Leslie, we're just leaving you two alone here.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I mean, I would love to see a bloody pilot wings mod added to Flight Sim. Just give me some like
Hey.
rings or something to fly through. You know?
Superman 64 mod. Let's go.
Yeah.
I want a barrel roll challenge mode.
Yeah, I mean something to compete against in a way. You know, it's,
Oh my god, a burnout style crash mode. No, wait, that's probably a really bad idea.
Yeah. Not in this
Oh,
political
but I
climate.
would play that.
No.
Sorry, I forgot there was an American in the room.
I'm not
Yeah.
going to say my joke, so I'm just not going to do it. I will get killed.
Anyway, that seems like all the time we have for today.
Well done, Dave. Well done. Alessio, do you have anything you want to say?
about Flight Simulator.
Anything.
Well, something that Dave was pointing out earlier about the performance is indeed something that's felt in the community. I think it's being compared to the new Crisis. I mean, like
Yeah.
the new.
It is very intensive, yeah.
Yeah,
But
so
it
it's
looks amazing.
I mean, it's very much CPU bound as well. So perhaps the CPU to play it at 60 frames per second isn't out yet.
Yeah, well, I'm going to say I've got a 998800K, and yeah, even the octa-core, I'm not running it, and I've recently spent £2,100 on a new rig, so I should be able to play it. But again, I'm happy with mid 30 FPS, and it only drops on ultra settings when I literally fly over like a massive city like New York, which is such.
It's insane though that like you can spend that much money on a rig and have it drop frames. You know?
Yeah, I know.
We live in crazy.
The Epic Games times. And I think
Alright.
that's okay. Yeah, I think that's everything I want to say. So,
Yeah.
quickly, we've got a few minutes.
The stuff I'm playing, I can't talk about. So next week, I'll bring some stuff up.
Next week.
Revolution is the only solution.
Yeah. Okay.
God. Oh God.
See ya.
On that note, let's all run away from Dave. But yeah. Well,
Oh, actually, you know, since you said we have a few minutes,
yeah.
maybe we can comment what the NVIDIA CEO said recently last week. He said that the second half of this
3090.
no, no. Just a general comment on gaming. He thinks that the second half of this year will be the most amazing season ever. He said. So
I can imagine it. We've got some really good games coming. Cyberpunk. We've just had Flight Simulator. Yeah, there's so many games, and they're going to be matching up to.
Yeah, the next generation of consoles as well, and Switch. I don't know.
Switch Pro or iRiot. Like, here's my prediction: Switch Pro. I'm going to say it's going to be between September and November next year, launching alongside Breath of the Wild 2. Hold me down.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Here we go.
It's on video now, Dave. We're going to hold you to it. Kai, any last words?
Vita 2.
Yes.
None of this Switch nonsense.
1 minute, Alessio. Any last words from you?
Just that I can't wait for the new graphics cards to come out, because I've been, I've been waiting to use HDMI 2.1 in a while. So it's I've got 4K and
Well, that's exciting.
It's just a wait and see then. Right, so that's about all we've got time for today. So Dave's
see you later.
Right about the Switch.
Vita sucks.
I will fight you.
Thank you for joining us, everybody.
cheers.
Vita sucks. Bye.